Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this April 22nd, 2025 Board of Supervisors of Rye Township meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Never mind. They'll stop.
It's rhythm.
It's my phone.
Phone ring out of rhythm. Makes sense. Just saying.
Okay, with that said, please join us in a moment of silence. Okay, is there any citizen participation at this time? This is for items that are on the agenda. Hearing none, move on to approval of the minutes. I have comments. Anybody else first have comments, corrections, revisions? Hearing none at the moment. Page 3. For the sake of consistency, near the top, second full paragraph going down, motion carried, Supervisor Sloop opposed, stating that the entry level salary was too high. I would agree with keeping that because, again, Brad's a member of the board, and I think that's a material piece of information to the minutes. Going on to the next paragraph, we don't typically commentary that's made by residents to the board. I've always been advised that you don't put all that into the minutes, and we haven't. And I want to treat everybody fairly. There are folks who often make comments, and we don't put in anything other than so and so made comments. So where we have they disagreed with how the board handled the hiring process and the amount of the starting salary, I would scratch that. And also Kathy Sable offered that paying someone less would still require training. Again, those are comments that we don't typically record in the minutes, so I would move to scratch those. Do we have a second?
Yeah, that's fine for consistency as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved, thank you. Were there any other?
No, everything else was
No,
good.
okay, minutes are approved, thank you. That takes us to persons to be heard. Jeremy Herb, 15 Dickon Drive, options to the Saldo plan, or subdivision land development plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, how are you? I was thinking, hey, I know a guy by that name.
No, I knew you. It did sink in.
just didn't click right
We're
away.
quite a bit closer now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we applied for a permit to build a structure. Kind of when we bought the house, there's existing structures around. I didn't think this would be an issue, but basically it's a building in our backyard to store our antique cars. When we applied for the permit, they noticed that it says there is, any garage has to be attached to the current house. And like I said, there's already 3 in Dickon Acres that are not, so I'm just here to see what I have to do. It's obvious that we can build the building because other people have done it. I just don't know what my next step would be or how I can get my building approved.
Well, I don't know that any of us know the backstory on any of those buildings that were already built, so,
Did,
can't.
Max?
Did Max go look, is there a report or anything from Max or?
He just had an application, a zoning permit application.
Okay,
And then he addressed that
okay.
and said, that he couldn't approve it as is because of the note on the subdivision plan. that he would
Oh,
get-
that's a note actually
Yeah,
pertinent to that
He was not
subdivision
the
plan.
zoning officer when the other buildings were.
Erected, yeah. How, are there any other buildings on the property other than the residence?
No.
There are not.
And you meet the setback,
Yeah, I'm well
20-foot
within,
setback from your neighbor?
from neighbors, from the back property line by like 80-some feet. And we actually moved it because we were 5 foot from the house. I was told it has to be at least 10. We actually went 15 just to be safe. Just pushed it away from the existing 2-car garage that's on the house.
Problem is, it's in the subdivision. It's a recorded note on a subdivision plan.
Yeah. Solicitor has his plan.
Any comments?
Any comments from the
Well-
solicitor?
Well, I mean, so whenever you have a subdivision plan and you have notes on the plan, these notes are entitled protective covenants. So when you buy out of a subdivision plan, it's like a contract. So anybody that buys out of the plan, technically, legally has notice of these protective covenants, and anybody that bought out of this subdivision has the ability to enforce these. So it's not only the township that can enforce these, but anybody else that buys a lot and any successor to a lot could enforce these, protective covenants. Talks about keeping of animals, motor vehicles, things like that. So, it's sort of.
Can I look at
Yeah.
that, please?
Is there a way that you could attach it just in some fashion to the house that
Well,
technically it would be a?
I mean, we could attach it, but then we'd have to move it back towards the house again to make like a breezeway, and I don't know what the stipulations are there now. So,
Can I ask a question? I mean, is this just because it's labeled as a garage? I mean, technically, we're just using it as a storage building, not a working garage.
yeah,
To put
it's
our,
not even supposed to have electric or anything, it's just a building to store our stuff in.
It falls under the definition of accessory structure, whether, I think regardless of use, so that,
I mean, if you're gonna
like I
start
said,
storing
the-
vehicles in it, that would be a question for Max, I didn't look at it,
And like I said, there's 3 other already built that were
You know,
built
last-
within 4
For
years.
3 years, they built 3 other garages.
Yeah, and I was
To,
curious how they
Yeah, they did.
got
Oh,
those in.
don't know.
Yeah, they're not on Google Maps yet, so they were within the past 3 years.
Well, I'm not
And
gonna.
I didn't talk to anybody yet to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what they did or how that works, so I don't wanna create names.
Yeah.
I just figured there was a way, because 3 other people have done it, so there's gotta be a way to do it, I just don't know
Well,
what the
don't
next step
necessarily,
is.
don't necessarily take that step, because that's,
Yeah, I don't know if the prior zoning officer didn't bother to look at a plan or anything and said, fits the setbacks and, what I mean?
I mean, in addition to that, all your antique vehicles and everything that you have, do they all have current registration and licensing and everything on them?
Oh, yeah.
Because that is another note on here.
Yeah, they're all current, they're
They're
all
all licensed,
inspected,
insured.
well, they're all legal and
Okay.
insured and everything else,
That-
yes.
This is somewhat impressive.
For that year. huh?
For this year, I mean, I was 7. I mean,
yeah, but at the end of the day, so,
it's,
correct me if I'm wrong, but that, I mean, the fact that there are 3 that were built there, whether they were built in the past year, 3 years, 10 years, whatever, doesn't weigh anything on what we have to do with the current zoning officer and, or can we?
I
Don't
don't
know that.
I don't think it does, but,
What if you don't call it a garage?
nah, it's already, yeah, it's an accessory building, so, and all garages are accessory buildings, so.
I don't think that's right. I realize that's on Dick Allender's little thing, I have that at home, okay? I think if 3 other people build it.
Well, we
Finish?
can, but you understand, we can't do that because then where do you stop?
Yeah,
That's the problem we
that
run
can't be
into.
How did we do it before?
I don't know how these were done before.
Is,
You know what I mean? How did we do it? How did three of my neighbors build a garage out there in the last 3 years? It wasn't attached to their property, nobody seemed to bother, that wasn't a problem then. This guy here, he's not gonna tear the end of his house off to build a garage or build a shop to work on things in. I don't think that's fair. I mean, he moved here to be our neighbor, for crying out loud.
there's lots of things in life aren't fair, Eric.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, and-
This doesn't have anything to do with fair, this is stupid.
Eric, no, back to the point of consistency, and
Yeah, it is.
treating everyone the same. We've got someone already in our development that last year they were giving me a hard time because somebody 5 doors down from them is allowed to have, they think, is allowed to have a storage container, mobile storage container there as a shed. And we went round and round, this was before Mike was here with our other solicitor, and it was based on an interpretation by the zoning officer at the time that did not appear to be consistent. But that's set in motion now because now the next guy wants to know how come you let him do it when I wasn't allowed to do it? And that's the problem that gets set up when you start deviating from what the ordinance says and what the plan says. Not trying to be difficult. It's anytime you deviate from what's codified, then people get upset because they think they're being treated unfairly. And Mike, if you have anything more to add to it, that's my
I mean, it
take
says
on
what
it.
it says, I mean, I don't know what happened in the past, I wasn't here, but is there a way, there's no way that you could look at doing some type of, does it have
That
to
was my
be?
next question.
does it
is
have
what
to
is
be
the
a
definition
breezeway?
of
Like I say,
attached?
can it be just a breezeway?
I mean, they made it sound like we could do like a literal walkway from the existing garage
That
to
might be-
the structure.
That might be like, I think we have to talk to the zoning officer,
But
but
does that change
maybe
my
that-
setback from the house?
When it's attached, it's 20 feet.
what's that?
It's 20 feet in residential. When it's attached to the primary.
Yeah, and it's a covered walkway, right? I mean, it's gotta be, not just, I think.
Right,
it's a-
it would
It's gotta
basically
be some
be-
kind of structure.
I'm thinking a door in the garage, a door in the
Right,
other building
yeah.
with an attached something
With
between them.
with just something to keep the
Yeah.
rain off between the two of them.
Right. But like I said, does that change how far away? Can it be closer then, or
Oh, you mean from the primary
from the
dwelling?
primary dwelling? Yeah, like I know my
I
property
don't
lines
know
and everything,
that.
I
I
still have
thought
to
you meant the
be
setbacks.
No.
Yeah, I'm not
so
sure.
far, so, but as far as that, can I move it up to 5 feet? That way we only have to go 5 feet from the house to the
Well, if you were-
new building.
If you were attaching it actually to the house or whatever, it would be
It would
zero.
be- Yeah, 0.
So.
But I didn't know with the breezeway if that changes anything, or if there's a certain definition for breezeway,
And
or,
that actually may come also from BIU, because if there's fire codes or something, I don't know, there might be codes, building codes or construction codes that have to do with that,
Okay.
since it's attached.
You'd have to have fireplace at both sides, I'm
I
sure.
mean,
but-
we could figure that out with Max, because
Yeah.
if it's considered to be attached, I mean, you don't have to come to the board, you're allowed to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't have to.
It's absolutely brilliant.
well, that's why, like I said, we were hoping to not have to attach it. And
Yeah,
so,
And either way, you have to go to BIU, even if
Right.
it were.
that's next week's trip now.
Right.
Next week is a trip up there, so. Alright, so then,
I would get settled here first.
yes,
Yeah.
because you have to actually send it out, right? You have to
Right.
send it to them, so.
I mean, you can still go up there, even if Max doesn't have it signed yet. You
Mhm.
can still take your paperwork up there a while.
Alright,
But you wanna make sure it's settled here, where you're putting it and how you're attaching. You're gonna need that information from your contractor.
It'll be fairly simple, so. When will I know if I can proceed?
Should I have Max?
Is
get
Max
hold of
supposed to
them?
be here anytime in the
He was
next?
just here last week, but, I can get hold of him.
Yeah.
I actually talked to him today.
See, I would see if he can make a trip. I mean, we gotta. Get you fixed up. Yeah, get it squared away.
So
Okay.
basically wait to hear from him then, and that's our plan. We're
I'll get
just
hold of
gonna-
him, and if he needs to speak with you, I'll just give him your number, and,
Okay.
which he might have it already, but,
Okay.
because he
Is
has
that
your,
is that the guy that called the other day?
yes, he
Okay,
has your
so it's the same guy,
application,
yeah.
he gets a copy of every application, so.
Because he was the one that said about initially, is there any way to attach it? And I said, well, yeah, but that's gonna change where the building location is probably, so. And that was my next step, is making sure we aren't encroaching on anything else, since it's gonna be attached.
Okay.
Did that answer your question at this time?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Okay, again, we're not trying to
No.
be difficult, we're trying to be
It's just
consistent.
unfortunately, it can't be
Still
cut and dry.
proceed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not dead in the water. You're
No,
still-
so that's-
But thank you for asking first before proceeding, that's much
Yeah, you're-
appreciated.
One step up than your neighbors apparently.
Well, let's not, we don't know this, we don't know the
No, you
situation,
don't.
so,
Yeah,
It might not have been their fault.
yeah.
Okay, so, well, then
And I
I'll
will
wait to hear
mention
from
him
Max.
about the distance, between the two,
Right.
so he can, in fact, I can send
Is
him
it
an
somewhere
email.
he'll actually come out and look at it then, or?
He might need to, I don't
Okay.
know, that's his.
Because that would be the next thing, is if I can get him boots on the ground to look at it and actually say, okay, yes, this is,
This will work.
yeah. Then we have a concrete, yes, we can do this.
He should come out and see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's at all
Okay.
possible, yeah.
Yeah, if he comes in, he should surely be able to.
Yeah.
Okay,
he will.
awesome. All right.
Well, welcome to Rye Township.
Thank you very much. And with that, I have to get to work, so I appreciate everybody's time. So thank you very much.
Take care.
Hey, can I say something? Thank you very much.
Doing well.
You
You always, Eric,
Wicked.
Eric, no, he is a wonderful guy, I know.
He really is.
But again, you
He
understand that
doesn't
as
cut corners on anything or
driveway
sneak
officer,
around.
as driveway officer, you understand that we have
I
certain rules we have to
understand
follow, and that's,
what they do.
yeah, it's not a matter of trying to bust somebody's hump, it's trying to treat everybody the same.
Thank you.
That's our mission.
You know?
Okay, thank you, Eric. Tina Curnow,
Yeah,
SEK.
good evening, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, so what you have in front of you is our presentation from the audit. We are finished with the audit. The state report has been filed. Daisy has the final copies of the audited financial statements and the letters. But what I'm gonna go over is the super scaled down version for you guys. We already met with Daisy, went over all the details, the results of the audit and everything. So for you, we're just really gonna do much more high-level results. There's a few slides with some financial information, a few graphs. So pretty quick here, presentation. But, so what you have from an audit completion standpoint is the summary of the audit is an unmodified audit opinion. So as a reminder, that means it's a clean audit opinion. It's the goal of an audit. It means that there wasn't anything we found during our audit procedures that required us to modify that opinion. You did have a surplus in all funds this year, and there were no findings that needed to be reported. So as far as the audit opinion, it was covering the period through December 31, 2024. And we always remind you that what that opinion means is that the financial statements are fairly presented. We obviously don't look at 100% of the transactions based on calculations and risk assessments. We look at some details. We confirm a lot of your activity, bank accounts, revenue, your tax revenue, all that we confirm with outside parties to make sure that what they say they gave you, you recorded. We look at invoices for vendors that you paid. We look at payroll activity to make sure that employees were paid based on their pay rates and number of hours worked. But it's not an all-inclusive test. So what we're doing is giving you the opinion that everything is materially correct. It's not an opinion on internal controls. It's not an opinion on a fraud investigation. They are completely different audits. The audit we perform is strictly a financial audit. Also included in your financial statements is the management discussion and analysis. This is at the front of the financials. It's prepared by management. We are not allowed to prepare it. We review it, but ultimately Daisy prepares it, provides it to us, we review it and incorporate it in your financial statements. That is the only part of your financial statements that has comparative information. So it's a good part of the financial statements, it's more reader friendly as far as the information that's in there. It's not a lot of technical language, it's more of the what happened and why. So that is also included in your financial statements. So looking at some numbers here, the next few slides. First slide is your governmental activities. So when you look at your financial statements, the first couple pages are what we call the government-wide. It kind of pulls everything together in two different statements and two different pages of your financial statements. And this includes your capital assets. So this is not how your internal records are maintained. You maintain cash basis for your internal records, and then the capital assets get added on. So each year, we maintain your depreciation schedules, which is your history of capital assets, and then each year, Daisy will acknowledge any current additions that you had, whether it be road projects that need capitalized, equipment purchases, vehicle purchases, things like that. We'll do some analysis on that, bring those onto your capital asset listing, and then they get depreciated over a useful life. So what you see here, these numbers for current assets basically is the township as a whole. Your current assets are your cash and investments, things like that. Your non-current assets are your capital assets. So you had a slight increase in your current assets just by adding cash to your reserves, and a slight decrease in your non-current assets because you did have a few 2024 purchases that were capitalized, but for the most part, the depreciation expense that was charged on your existing assets reduced your net overall value down. The next slide is your business type activities, which is your solid waste fund. So you can see 2023, 2024 there, very minimal changes all around. When we get back to the slide that shows that fund as far as revenue and expense, you budget that fund to have no net change, and you each year become very close to that no net change. You'll see this year, in order to get to that very small surplus you had, you did have significant transfers in to that fund to cover costs, mainly related to your trash contract increases. So we'll see that when we get back there, but you were able to subsidize that fund enough for it to have a small surplus. The next slide is your general fund. So this is strictly just looking at a fund level. So these numbers are more in line with what you're used to seeing at the board level as far as what's actually recorded in your accounting software. So what you see there is 2023 versus 2024, and then 2024 compared to your final budget. So you had overall about a 10% increase in revenue, coupled with a 10% increase in expense. You did have significant transfers out, essentially mainly to the capital reserve fund. But then you can see bottom line there, you did have a small positive change in fund balance, about $14,000. You budgeted no change in fund balance, so that was the variance from your budget to actual. As far as overall revenues and expenses, you saw increase in some of your tax revenues, like your transfer taxes, your earned income tax. And then expenses, basically, the main expense was increase in expense was the increased contribution to the fire company that you had this year, and emergency management and communication expenses. As far as budget's concerned, you had savings, if you will, where you brought in more revenue than you expected, mainly in the earned income tax area. You still budget fairly conservative for that, so you were able to get a higher variance from that. And then your highways, there were road projects and purchases that were slated for 2024 that didn't happen, and or what did happen came in under budget. So some of that savings transferred into 2025 because you did actually make purchases in 2025 of some equipment. So we'll see that here come in 2025, some significant expense using up the rest of the ARPA funds that you had, but that was from a budget standpoint, some of the variances. The next slide, that's a narrative, that's just basically what I explained, talking about those variances. So the next number slide is your capital reserve. So here, what you see is your revenue and expense, and about 37% increase in both revenue and expense. Essentially, or not revenue and expense, just 37% increase in your revenue, just a function of your change in investment income. And you didn't have any payments out of the capital reserve in '24, so the residual was just the transfers. So in '23, you had a net transfer out. In 2024, you had a net transfer in. So you were able to add to your reserves in '24 because of not having any significant purchases that were paid out of those funds. The next slide, your highway aid, again, '23 versus '24. Nothing too significant of change there. You can see less than 1% change in your revenue and a 2% change in your expense, essentially just the budgeted cost of the projects that you did do, what were paid out of the highway aid. And you budgeted a loss in that fund. You came in at $1,600 surplus, mainly again, based on the work that you did do coming in under budget. The solid waste fund, the next slide, this is where you can see what I was mentioning. You actually had a 5% decrease in your revenue. You did have a changeover with who you use for your collection. And so there was a little bit of delays with getting up and running with the new company and just timing of receipts. So not that you decreased your rates obviously, but mainly just the timing of the receipts coming in. But obviously you can see the increase, the main increase there is your contracted services, which is just what you're obligated to pay the trash collection company. So down towards the bottom, you can see last year you transferred in just over $15,000. And similarly, this year you had transferred in funds. It's coupled with transfers to cover costs, as well as transfers to cover just general operating costs. But then you also have a true up at the end of the year with a transfer to that relates specifically to payroll, taxes and benefits for that fund. So, but you went from about $15,000 transfer in '23 to a $40,000 transfer in '24 to help cover what would have been a use of reserves in that fund. Your next slide, total equity, is just a summary of the different equity components you have with your governmental funds, which is your general fund, capital reserve fund, and highway aid fund. There's different components you could have. General fund, you have some restricted funds, which is external restrictions. Somebody gave you money for something, tax levies, things like that. That's what your restricted capital reserve fund money is. And then you have various committed funds. They're mainly the CDs in your capital reserve fund where you're saving for future upcoming expenses. And then unassigned in the general fund is just whatever is left and residual that you can use for any needs necessary. Looking then at a couple slides just related to your footnotes. Note 1 is your summary of significant accounting policies. It's about 3-4 pages of your financial statements. It's a lengthy footnote, but it doesn't change unless you change your accounting policies, which you haven't drastically done. So the verbiage in there is very similar to prior years, but it has a good summary of the township, how you operate, how you record things, and everything like that. Note 4 is your capital asset footnote. This is where it shows a much greater detail of where you started, what you purchased, depreciation expense, or any disposals you may have had during the year, and then the ending results. So you can see, I mentioned you did have a couple purchases in '24. Your net purchases were about $10,000, but you had an overall decrease in your capital asset value because of the depreciation expense. And then with your solid waste, there were no purchases, and then you had $48 of depreciation expense to reduce down the net value. The next few pages are related to the management letter. So the management letter is an external letter, not bound with financial statements. But that is the letter that we communicate any deficiencies that we may find, any suggestions or recommendations that we would have for you to either implement or change something. If there's any standards that are coming down the line that you'll need to implement that will impact you, we would communicate that in that letter. It's been fairly quiet, at least from a cash basis reporting standpoint. So there was nothing in that letter that we felt needed to be communicated. So really it's just the graphs, a number of which are included in the subsequent slides. So I'm not going to go over them in great detail, but it does give you a good visual picture of the last 5 years. So this gives you a little bit more of a trend analysis, and it's more visual than just looking at a bunch of numbers on a page. So you have your cash and investment trends, which for the most part, the main fluctuation is just the uptick in your capital reserve because you haven't had any significantly large projects that you had to cover costs for, so you've been able to grow that capital reserve fund for upcoming projects. Revenue and expense just really shows your total revenue, total expense, and your net, which you have had surpluses the past 5 years. Not much, because you budget for really, it's not like you're budgeting to add to your reserves, but you have been able to come in a little bit on top each year to add to existing reserves. Then you have a bar graph for revenues and expenses. You can see from a revenue standpoint, your significant revenue source is taxes, which is not uncommon for a municipality. That's how you cover most of your costs. Expense-wise, you have your highways, for the most part, is a large expense, and then obviously your trash collection is a significant cost to the township. The next two slides after that are pie graphs of just 2024, revenue and expense, so you can see from a percentage standpoint where your revenue is coming in and where your costs are associated with the payments going out. So revenue-wise, you can see obviously more than half of your revenues came from taxes in '24, and then expense-wise, more than half came from two areas: your highway expenses and your trash collection. The last couple slides, the next one immediately after the last graph is just talking about the second letter that you have in your possession. This is our required communication letter. We don't always have the opportunity to stand in front of a board and present the results. Even if we do, we are still required to communicate the required information in this letter. But this letter is basically the catch-all to everything else. It acknowledges any significant disclosures or estimates that you have in your financials. It acknowledges there were no disagreements with management, no difficulties in performing the audit. There were no other findings or issues we needed to communicate. It acknowledges the management representation letter that you sign and give us, letting us know that you provided us everything we needed for the audit. So it's really a communication strictly only letter. The adjustments that are made are attached to that letter, most of which are what's made, one, either to reclass any of your activity to where the state likes to see it. The state is very particular with where they want to see things recorded, regardless of how individually and internally as a municipality you budget things and show things. And then two, the conversion entries, when we bring on your capital asset activity and then depreciate the value of that, that is not recorded in your accounting ledger, but we do provide that information just so you can see the stepping stone to get from where your last year's financial statements were to the current year. So, in summary, you have the clean audit opinion, you had a surplus in all the funds, obviously solid waste, very minimal, but was planned to not really have a big surplus there, but you were able to add to your reserves in all of your funds for the township for the year. And no findings, that's obviously always a plus, a good thing, a goal of an audit, and nothing else coming down the line that you need to think about immediately in the near future, or make changes or implement anything, so kind of just status quo for you guys. So.
Wonderful, okay. Comments, questions?
I don't have any. Oh, I need to look.
Thank you very much, Tina.
So the only other thing I think then, if you haven't gotten to it yet, Daisy, is the advertisement in the local newspaper.
I
the
sent it
notice of audit.
today.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it today.
Otherwise, you can check the box for another year done and just worry about getting through this year.
Thanks again, Tina.
All right, yeah.
You'll see
Alright.
some big changes next year with the, with the payment of the,
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
tractor
Tractor
mower.
and
Utilizing those, the
Yeah.
ARPA funds and, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right,
Terrific.
thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, that takes us to zoning code enforcement report, so. Do we have one?
Yeah, I thought I put one out for you.
Sewage enforcement.
Well, you're holding it.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Sorry, one and reading the other. Yeah. From JHA zoning permits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items. No invoice for these items at this time, right?
I think there is a check on there. Can you find my check?
Yeah, there is one, looks like.
Yeah, I think that might have some of it. I'm not sure that's all of it, but I think that's part of.
This says February, it says February, March in, in your description for it.
Okay, so what's the date on his report, the activity?
Goes from 4/3 till
No, then maybe it's
4/17.
No,
Okay,
it's not.
it's not,
So that one doesn't.
okay. They're always behind.
Mhm.
Okay, that'll be up here. And wishes to take a look. Sewage enforcement, again from Frederick Siebert and Associates, we have. Now, there's two amounts here, Daisy, 575.
They're two separate, they're two charges that are the same, but there's two separate incidents.
Okay.
Two activities.
So we have one for 575 and another for 1,030.
No,
Um,
no, there's two, are there two in your hand, in your left hand, are there two?
Yeah, there's two there,
Okay.
yeah. They both say
So-
575.
Yeah, they both say 575 on those.
But what does he say there? That's what's due.
That's the 1,030.
Okay.
So I'm puzzled by this.
Sometimes they pay the full amount,
Okay,
and then as they go through the activities, then he bills.
okay. So we
So-
just need approval to pay the 1,030
Yeah.
at this time, so I'll make
And
that.
I think it's on the agenda, I mean, it's on the check register, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll approve it there.
Yeah. However
In
you
the
want
check.
to do it.
Yeah, we'll do it in the check register, but,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, otherwise, that'll be up here.
Actually,
It isn't on there.
Is it not on there?
Actually, there's two for JHA.
Yeah. I just saw that,
Is it the 575 and
Yeah.
the 1030?
the 528.
No, there's a 52820. Or no, okay, that was for JHA. There's that one, because that says zoning expenses 320 to 44. And there is, and there's an
That was
FSA.
for March, though.
Yeah,
So
the
that
other
one
one,
isn't
so
on
that
yet.
one's not, yeah,
That one just came.
right,
It gets confusing because they're all the same
right.
fees. I think that one, you just put that in.
Would you like a motion to pay the 1030?
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a 2nd? All in favor?
Aye. That way,
Okay.
that way there's,
That way it's covered.
that way there's no doubt.
Okay, are we clear the one with the 280?
The JHA.
Yeah.
That one
Oh,
does.
the JHA, yep.
That one does go to
Sorry.
4/4, so.
That goes to 44, so that may have, is there anything from 44 on there?
First one's 4, there's only one for 4-3.
Okay, well, it would probably include whatever that one is.
Okay.
But you can approve it with this, I would think, I don't know.
Yeah, with the check register.
Yeah, we'll just do it with the
Okay.
register. Yeah, that's cleanest. Okay, that takes us to road report. Brad, please.
Attended training class for 811 poles. Cold patch potholes and edges of roadway throughout township. Sprayed the trucks with rust inhibitor. Cleaned side ditches and pipes on dirt portion of Miller's Gap. Prepped and painted rear bumper and hydraulic reservoir and wheels on trucks 3 and 4. They got the trucks really looking good. They washed the trucks, mowed the grass around the township, pressure washed the snow equipment when they took it off. Cleaned up the brush in the rear lot, repainted the side steps on the trucks in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw that the trucks, the 550s and the big trucks have been very cleaned up.
Yeah, they're really
Wheels stripped,
good.
painted,
Yep, they look real nice.
really taking care of the
Willie
equipment. That's-
went over the wheels.
He likes to paint.
He likes to paint.
Okay, more power to him.
And it looked very professional. I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah.
that was
Good.
Yeah,
very much appreciated.
he had them all taped up and out there, real well, hanging there.
Good for him. Who all attended the 811 training, Brad?
What's that?
Who all went to the 811?
Me, Johnny, and Willie.
Okay,
Yep.
good, thank you.
It was free.
Oh, I just,
Wow.
It was at the VFW though.
Wow, that's amazing.
all right. Rec board report, Nancy,
Okay,
please.
well, we had our first event, which was History Night, and we felt it was well received. We had about 32 or 33 people. It depends on who you ask, what they counted, but it was in that neighborhood. And then it was, everyone enjoyed themselves, and as usual, Brian did a nice job. And then our next event will be our annual fishing derby, which will be held on May 17th. And fishing starts at 9. We ask people to come early to register around 8, probably around 8:30. And it's held at the Sportsmen's Association. If it would rain on Saturday, the rain date will be the following day from 1 to 2. And if it rains all weekend, then the fishing derby is canceled for the year, because we wouldn't be able to get another date with the sportsmen. Okay?
Oh, thank you,
That's
Nancy,
it.
thank you. Takes us to emergency management report. Kurt, do you have anything for us?
I do. I have, I've now received my FEMA ID, so I can begin taking classes. My goal is to make all 15 classes by the end of the year for certification. We have the radios, just as a reminder, I think 2 months ago I talked about that before I went to Florida. I spoke to the EMC coordinator at County just this past week. He said he's happy that we have radios that we're able to communicate now both ends of the valley. Of course, Daisy is working on the license for the VHF frequency that we'll need for these new radios. She's working on it, and I have her list of questions. Once we have license, if it pleases the board, I can get the radios to Moyer Communication to get those frequencies programmed in the radios, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good.
No point having them if they're not right.
Right,
so.
we can't use them
So,
until
yeah,
get them where we need to be able to communicate in the township. Once Moyer Communication has those radios, he will reach out to the county for the radio identifiers. So the county will know when those radios are keyed up that it's coming from Rye Township. And they'll assign those. I have no idea what they'll
Well, we
name.
need that ahead of time. Is that one of those questions that they need to know?
No, I don't think they need it for the license.
Okay,
But there was a couple questions on there that I'll have to dig into. I don't know the answers.
okay.
So once that's all finished, the radios will be able to go, we'll be able to use them. The county did emphasize to me that Rye Township should be using that frequency that you're getting, Daisy, you can, from the office, you can talk to the truck can talk back. If the truck needs to get a hold of me or Jim or, for example, we'll be able to do that.
And they said something about changing, right now we're at 24-mile radius, and you may want to increase that.
Yeah, the portable radios are good for 16 miles.
Oh, is that all? Okay, well then
Yeah.
maybe 24 is adequate.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if we need more equipment to do that.
Oh,
If we need a repeater or something like that,
I don't know.
The only thing that's outstanding, so to speak, is that the radios need chargers. So I did talk to Moyer Communication, they said they were roughly $65 a piece. So again, I can look into it, get a quote for you if you want.
Oh, I forget, we talked 4 radios?
4 radios.
4 radios, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's, no good without the chargers.
No, in fact, I checked them when I come home and they're dead, they're dead.
Of course they are.
That's all I have. I don't think Jim had anything for me to talk about tonight, but that's kind of where we are. So we're waiting on the frequency. Once I get that, I can take the radios to Moyer. Moyer will install, they'll check with county will give the identifiers, and then we'll be good to go. And get the,
Thanks for doing all that.
Get the chargers.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Any questions?
Is it, you thinking like 2 months from now, or, no,
I don't know how long that license will take.
I don't know, she didn't seem to think it would take long, once we got all those details together, but some of that stuff, I didn't know what you wanted,
Yeah.
what frequency, and, some of the questions there, so you'll have
Yeah,
to
I'll
get
look
back
into-
to me. And maybe when I get with her, you could maybe come down.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
fine.
we could deal with it at the same time. But I did get us registered on that website that we have to be registered, I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
it's a different website than what we
Bureaucracy.
were on before. She gave me all the information, but they're very, very good.
Good.
They're very good and they can put things in layman's terms, so they're very good at helping.
That's real good. This last question here, I'll have to figure out what they really are talking about there. You may want to have a different output power ERP.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
that
have no
is.
idea what that.
I don't know what that is either. I thought maybe you would know.
No, I'll call Moyer and see if
Okay.
he can help me answer that.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
Wonderful, thanks again, Kurt.
Any questions?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, I got shut off, so.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Talk to you guys.
Thank you. Daisy, that takes us to financial treasurer's report.
Okay. General checking account began with a balance March 1st of $309,917.87. And receipts of $70,755.29. Had expenditures of $58,922.99. $349.89 in interest, leaving us a balance April 1st in the general checking of $322,100.06. We have a general checking account at Penny, which has minimal amount of money and had only interest activity, and had a balance April 1st of $2,311.03. American Rescue Plan Funds money market account, which we will be probably tapping that next month, had, began with a balance March 1st of $229,696.05, had interest of $671.09, leaving us a balance April 1st in the Rescue Plan Funds money market account of $230,367.14. And so that's going to be a surplus in there for whatever you decide you want to use it for, because it looks like we're going to just need slightly over $220,000 to pay for the
Tractor and the mower.
the tractor and the mower. So it will be $10,000. The general savings account had only interest activity at the Bank of Landisburg and had a balance April 1st of $2,528.83. Liquid Fuels checking account had only interest activity and had a balance April 1st of $95.61. Bank of Landisburg Liquid Fuels savings account had only interest activity and had a balance April 1st of $2,715.54. And of course, the CD with the allocation in it and with the balance from last year, like Tina was telling you, we had some monies left over because we got such a good bid. and, they were dumped together, and they're in a 3-month CD that comes due the beginning of June. So, and then they should be just dumped back into the liquid fuels checking, because by that time, your bids
Yeah.
will be awarded, and whenever they get done satisfactorily, you
Be
can
able
pay
to
the
pay,
bill. The other thing is, I did get the ARP report done for this year. It needed to be done by April 30th. I had it done the first week of April. I didn't go in the first couple days because PSAT said there were glitches, because everybody was trying to get in there April 1st and 2nd. So I waited for like 4 or 5 days and went in, and I didn't have any trouble. I got it all taken care of with obligating the township, because if we didn't obligate that money, we would lose that money. There's a chance that they might come back when they get, I mean, they've got
However many.
however many
Yeah.
people doing reports.
Yeah.
But they may come back and ask for more documentation, which I have a file in the computer that has all that information in there. So, whatever, they need,
You have.
I have it there. So that's done, and that's important, and that needed to
And
be
then
taken care of.
that's closed out. after
Because
that.
they said, no, it will not be closed out till next
Till the
year.
end, till the end of this year, actually, yeah.
Actually, it'll be.
Till 26.
26. Unless I don't know why, if it's closed out, why they won't let us do an interim report, but I don't
Yeah.
think they do.
Would do that.
So, I know last year, the people that spent all their money, they
Mhm.
wanted to do a closure, and they had to wait
Had to wait and go
till
through.
this year, yeah. So I'm thinking it's
It'd
gonna
be
be.
the same way.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same way, but we're good now, our money is not gonna go back, which we don't want that to happen, so. I just wanna let you know that's taken care of.
Thank you, Daisy.
Mhm.
Okay, that takes us to, excuse me, resolution. So resolution 2516, mature general fund CD at Penn Bank.
Yes, this is really an investment CD, it's just general savings, like Tina was saying, our cash reserves have gone up somewhat, and some of that is because we had some good interest rates there for a while. They are falling now, but this was a CD that had been in at 1.49% for 5 years. So 5 years ago, 1.49% was the best I could get anywhere. So now it's going back into a CD at Bank of Landisburg for 5 years at 3.55%, which is a pretty good percentage for 5 years. And that should produce some good interest for the township as an investment CD. The estimated amount is $187,323.
And I'm sorry, what was the interest rate again?
3.55.
Okay.
It's the APY. It's 3.50, but the APY, it might even be 3.56 because of the amount, but it's at least 3.55.
Okay, thanks, Daisy. Make a motion to approve resolution 25-16. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Brad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2516 is approved. Resolution 2517, comp plan CD maturing at Mid-Penn Bank.
Okay, I did ask Sean about this because they talked about maybe the planning commission redoing,
Yeah, the comp
updating
plan.
the comp plan. So, this comes due, soon, I forget when, if it's the end of April, beginning of May, there's several of them coming due soon. But it was in a 9-month CD at 5.35%, thinking that
Mm-hmm.
this would be the time
This
of
would be the
year,
year, right.
if you were going to update, it would
right.
begin about this time. Well, that hasn't happened, so.
And I don't see it necessarily on the direct horizon, so.
Okay, so it's going back into a 12-month CD, which it would come due the beginning of
This one
May
next year.
next year at 4.10%, which is about the best I could get for
For-
1 year. And that has like around 22,000 in it. I didn't write that down. It's not a whole lot, but it would help.
Oh, yeah, every little bit helps.
Well, with that, Sean, are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 25-17.
Second?
I'll say.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2517 is approved.
And that's just staying at mid-pen, so that won't be
Okay.
too hard.
And transfer of solid waste, easy access into a 7-month CD at 4.4% at Mid-Penn Bank.
Okay, I had to keep this in an easy access to get the timing to work out for the township. We had it in one of those special CDs, And this is the, CD that we use, that I took the 40,000, and, you know, I'm able to use it for reserves to bring that fund up to where it needs, to insulate the fund because of the cost. So we're trying to spend down some of the reserves that the solid waste fund does have. So it's going from a 1%, which is all I could get in an easy access, to the 7 months. We'll make it come due in December, and you'll get 4.4% until then. So, and I put on the resolution, majority of the CD, the amount of resources to be transferred to the solid waste fund will be calculated and determined following the final expense and payroll checks for the year 2025. Any funds remaining, once the reserves are transferred, will be deposited in the best rate available CD for use in supplementing the 2026 budget. So when you do your budget in October,
You can have that.
we were pretty close
Yeah.
on our budget. I
This
said
is fun.
51,000, we were off by 10,000, but that's, you never know.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close, yeah. And you know, I would have been closer with that, but Pam sent me a check on the 31st of December.
No,
Well, it wasn't even a check, it was electronic
transfer, but
And there's no way I can wait till the 31st to
Right.
estimate that, so. Anyway, that's what this is for, to set that in progress for your reserves for solid waste.
Okay. We'll finish with that one. Did
We-
No.
questions?
no, I'm good.
Okay, you wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 25-18.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 25-18 is approved. Backing up to 25-17, Daisy,
Sure.
you indicated that the amount is not on here, and it's not. And Mike, resolution without the dollar amount, is it
There's only
suitable to
one
sign,
complaint.
or, I mean, here, there's the two forms, one has it, one resolution has the amount. I just wanna be sure that we're,
Okay.
Not setting ourselves up.
There's
Yeah, I
no-
mean,
Or should we read?
if it's the one account that just has the money for the comp plan. you're
It's
basically
designated.
Designated, and you're just rolling it over into this mid-Penn bank account for 4.10%.
okay, but does it indicate it there on the resolution, the account number, the line item number, that's. That number there, do we need to have that also on here, is it, or is it?
Well, we have here a comp plan CD.
Okay.
Is there just one account with a comp plan CD? I think
Okay,
that's sufficient.
that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the capital
That's good.
reserve fund.
That's fine, okay, good.
And that's what it's in under, is that.
Right, it's not restricted, it's committed, it's a committed fund.
Right, okay.
In other words, if you decide you're not doing comp plan and you needed
Yeah.
it somewhere else, you could.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to
Oh,
revisit
sure.
this, just in case, so we're good, thank you.
I try to specify enough so I don't get confused, it's confusing.
Yeah, with enough of them, yeah.
Mhm.
Please, please. That takes us to the last one, resolution 25-19, transfer of ARPA funds.
I just thought we should
Tracking.
document this since this is such a large
Amount.
amount. And we've
Yep,
done
yep,
that,
yep.
we've done that previously. And nothing was paid to anyone yet, and that doesn't mean it's gonna be paid this week. It's gonna be whenever Brad tells me that it's
That everything's
satisfactory.
okay, right?
Everything's
Yeah.
okay. Again, the amount is $220,190.50.
I'm sorry, Dave, one more-
$220,190.50, and that's off of the two agreements. There's two separate agreements. One is for the mower and one is for the tractor.
Okay,
One is like 133 and some odd dollars, the other's 86 and some odd dollars.
okay,
So then I added those together, and
okay,
it's going from the penny and money market account that I just gave you the balance for, and it would go into the general checking account.
okay.
and I will not pull that until I absolutely have to, which we have 30 days to pay for it, once we're satisfied with it,
Okay.
so.
And as I recall, we talked about a couple different models, a couple different options. I don't think I saw a loader on the new tractor. Did we get? We didn't get the loader.
No.
No,
No, we didn't.
okay, okay.
Can't get a loader.
You can't.
You can't with that one, you could.
That's what I was thinking, okay.
Unfortunately.
I
And then the
remember
other
some.
thing, we talked about cameras, and I don't think they were gonna be able to put cameras
they
on for
didn't.
safety,
No,
so
they couldn't.
we should still make sure.
Well, we need to look
do
into
this.
that.
We can
Yeah,
look into
yeah,
that.
we need to.
I'm using someone at work.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
You've got
Actually,
somebody
yeah,
that-
well, I have a couple guys that I can talk, I'll talk to them.
Terrific.
Because we put cameras on our equipment, actually, so.
That'd be goodness.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-19. Do we have a second?
Go ahead, Brad.
I'll second.
Brad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
That
All
way
right.
I thought, I don't know if we're gonna be ready before
Right.
the May meeting.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you are, now you're covered.
Right, and I think just in the paperwork with ARPA, we need that.
Well, it's even more documentation is probably not bad.
Right.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, so 90-day probation period completed for William Starner, the full-time road laborer. Yeah, if you wanna elaborate on, I mean, I've seen nothing but great work out of the young
He's
fella.
been doing a wonderful job. I'm super satisfied with him.
Good, good. Well, with that, do you wanna make the motion to, what do we wanna call it? He's met the 90-day probation
Right.
period requirements?
And then he was to get a pay raise.
Yeah, and what did we took?
Well, it was 50
Yeah.
cents. I was
Uh-huh.
thinking about giving him $1. I mean, that only puts him at $19.50 an hour.
I don't have any trouble with that whatsoever.
So that's fine,
I-
I just wanted to be sure,
Okay.
absolutely,
I do not.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
performing,
He's been doing
Very,
an
very
excellent
well.
job. Him and
Actually,
Johnny do.
Do we need a motion for that? For
Yeah,
the-
yes, please.
I'll make that motion for his increase, for his $1 an hour increase.
Okay.
Upon
The second since you
successful
made the-
completion.
second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Yep,
Who's second? I'm in.
I second.
Oh, Brad,
Second.
okay.
Yep,
yep, yes, please, pass along.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, I will just adjust his wages.
yep,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks, Dan.
It'll be well, it's always the payroll after that, I think it was like a couple days, so it'll be the
Right,
next,
right.
that
Okay.
payroll
Right.
after the
Yep.
10th or 11th.
Right,
whatever
I wanna
the
keep
date was.
him.
Yeah, did we have to do something retroactive, right, because we were, was he officially 90 days?
Yeah, he was.
Last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we
was, yeah.
square up, can we square, how do we
We
square
got
it up?
mixed up.
Make
I
sure
can
we do.
do, a
Yeah,
retrofit for
okay,
that,
please.
yeah, I can do
Yep.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
retroactive, yeah.
Okay,
I'll do a calculation sheet,
Right.
so that's what I did that one time
Okay.
before
Yeah.
when we were late with the
Yeah,
agreement.
that works.
I'll just do that.
okay.
Did he get started with the CDL stuff, or?
Yeah, he's been working on that.
Okay.
Yep,
He's been looking into it.
Okay,
yep,
yeah, I know that's a process, so
yep.
now it is,
Yeah.
didn't used to be.
Okay, Penn Waste trash collection contract extension.
That is, our contract, we have one extension now, and it expires the end of this year. We can go, if you would like me to go and deal with the marketing person to see if we can get another extension. If the response is satisfactory, then we don't have to go out and form a bid. If not, you can always go and bid formally.
Right.
But the contract allows for extensions.
Okay, so we just need a motion to approve
If that's
requesting the
okay,
extension.
is that okay
I-
to continue to do extensions?
Yeah,
It says they're allowed to have two, extensions, I don't think it limits it.
there is no limit, okay. I don't have any,
I don't know what the contract says, I can't really tell you.
Right, the contract says they're allowed to extend, last time we extended,
was a 2-year extension, wasn't it?
yes, I mean, it was, I mean, before that.
Yeah,
The new contract came in 2020,
okay.
so, yeah, it was a 3-year contract, and then we had a 2-year
Two-year
extension.
extension.
So we've extended it twice before.
Solid waste.
I'll make the motion to approve trying to obtain
And
an extension,
a 2-year.
a 2-year if we could, I mean, as long as the terms are agreeable, I mean, it's all gonna come down to what, it's all gonna come down to what.
It's an extension.
Of
Of
the
the
existing
current-
Of the
contract.
existing contract,
Yeah.
well,
The terms most of the terms stay the same. I put something together if you wanna read it.
Yeah, if I could look at it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if it's acceptable, and if they will allow, if they have to agree to it.
yeah, if they'll agree to it, yeah.
But, there's like a 1-page extension, and usually what changes are the cost, of course.
Right.
And then it says all the other terms remain the same. I can show you what we did before.
Good. Sean made the
I'll
motion,
make the
I'll
second.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll just see if they're even agreeable.
See if they'll even entertain the idea,
Right, right.
since it is new people now, who knows?
It
Yeah.
is. I miss Joel. He was very nice to work with. But now there's a woman, her name's Erin, and she's been very responsive.
That takes us to township brush chipping. Brad, do you have some backstory on?
Yeah, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with the brush now. Johnny got rid of the last pile down there and took it up to his farm, which wasn't right, but he took it all up to his place. He got rid of it because we never got an answer what we're supposed to
Oh,
do.
no, well, last I spoke with Johnny, I had asked him, hey, is it possible to burn it right here?
Yeah, we
That was
can't-
the last I heard, so.
Yeah, we can't burn it because it's too wet. It would just smolder and have a mess. So we gotta make a decision what we're going to do with the brush, since I'm not allowed to put it behind the building anymore. Thank you. So,
There's a reason why it shouldn't be back there
Yeah,
regardless of who brought it up.
regardless,
It's-
but-
It's,
but people bring in stuff that they shouldn't bring in.
Oh, yeah,
We're nice
yeah,
enough
yeah.
to take it and get rid of it for them.
yeah,
But we're going to have to knock the brush out altogether, or I don't know what to tell you. Because we don't have nowhere to put the brush that we can chip.
yeah, and if we don't accept it here, I'm not saying we should, don't, is it gonna end up on the side of the roads at places, or is it gonna sit in people's yards and
I don't
looking
know,
like,
but
you
we
know,
can't-
what we're trying to
But
avoid?
we gotta we can't keep taking it to my place and Johnny's place.
No, I'm not suggesting
Right, so,
that be the solution.
Right.
I mean, this is the first we heard it was taken to Johnny's place, so.
that was, the last batch was taken over.
Did you know?
No, and once we turn it into
Because we
chips, what
have-
do we do with it then?
We don't have no place to put it. Nobody takes it. Ken Snyder used to take it, but he's
The
These
Hollies
ain't the
used to.
and they don't take it anymore because they're old.
Yeah.
They were about our 2 best customers. And really, nobody wants it because it's untreated, because it rolls ants.
Right.
Not sure what that horn meant exactly, but. Any idea what to? And we've tried burning it, or we will just assume that it's not gonna burn.
Well, that pile, that down there wouldn't have burned, but I don't think we want to get into the habit of burning all this stuff now.
There was a lot down there.
Yeah, there's a lot
That
down
wouldn't have been good.
there. I mean,
Well, but we do have a wide open stone lot, and again, unless there's some other alternative, you're saying we have to have something.
County doesn't have any way to get rid of
I've
anything
never
for anybody?
I've never heard of anything, no.
Well,
for all the people that bring it in, I would say there's not that many people that bring it in.
I was gonna say, do we get that much that?
But then you get these oddballs that come in while they're not there, and then they bring in all the stuff that you can't chip. Then we're back to the same problem again.
Right, that's
When I
That's the
see a
problem.
real need is when we have like a straight line
Straight.
windstorm.
storm,
You
yeah.
know, that's when people start calling and say, hey, can I bring my branches?
Is there,
And even then, it's not stuff, some of that stuff's
Some of
kind
it's dead, yeah.
Yep, some of that stuff's dead, because you can't put dead stuff in, because it breaks off the chipper, then you gotta try to get in there and feed it back in again.
So it'll go the rest of the way through. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, is there a neighboring municipality that,
I don't know if down in East Penn, if they take any or not, just for their residents probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You mean take the brush or take the chips?
well, either one, like, I know some of the municipalities, some of them will have, like, wood chips that their own
Well,
citizens
there's-
come and take.
I know
There's
Carroll-
seven or eight townships and municipalities in Cumberland County that all share the equipment to actually take care of it and treat it and do it right, cause North Middleton's one of them, and I think Middlesex is another one where, and they just keep rotating the machine
Right.
around.
Hampton.
And Hampton's a big part of that too, yeah, where they, yeah, and Mechanicsburg does too, that you
Yeah.
can,
Right.
you can take all your brush in and then you can actually get
You can
the
get
treated stuff
treated
back out.
bits
whenever
back,
it's
yeah.
done.
And it's actually nice stuff.
Yeah,
It's actually nice.
Not up here.
there's nobody up here that does any of that, no, I mean, be nice.
But if it's not put up against a house, do people care about the ants and other stuff that you mentioned, or is it?
I wonder if Rife's taking any of
Just
that
wonder if
stuff from
something
outside.
I would be interested
We
in.
don't have
Right.
anybody that comes.
Cause they have all the
Oh.
they have all that stuff.
They have a mountain of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, what size of the problem, if we were to chip everything that came in here that's typical, are we talking the dump truck load, or is it, give me an idea, is it one of the big dump trucks, is it 550 dump truck load a year? Trying to get, don't know if we're dealing with a mountain of a problem, or,
It all depends, you don't know.
Depends if you have storms.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the thing, you don't know.
but typically, it's not, we don't have 10 dump truck loads a year.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no.
okay, that's,
Oh.
okay, I'm just trying to figure out how big is the problem of stuff we got to
Get rid of.
Yeah,
I mean,
responsibly.
A couple of truck loads,
Yeah, I would say,
maybe.
yeah.
I mean, it'd probably have to be at least that much, I
But
would
then
say.
what are we gonna do with that then? I mean, that's another problem, what are we gonna do? I don't even have a place to put fill, I don't even know where to put fill. I have no place to put fill,
Clean bill.
clean fill, I don't have, even dirty stuff, I don't have no place to put it.
Did you talk to my brother?
No, I didn't,
He has a farm that's got lots on it.
So where the trailer used to sit over here,
yeah,
and it kind of drops off,
right.
is that an area we can put the chipped up stuff and it just eventually turns into dirt, soil?
Yeah, I don't know if you wanna
I-
get,
I
cause
just-
we keep that down there for a cleanup. We don't wanna get that all posted up for.
But where that
Dirt
trailer
ones.
used to be,
Yeah, I
it
know
just seemed like a
that.
no man's land. Did we really
We put
use
trailer,
that
yeah.
area
Yeah, we use that for cleanup.
that far back?
Yeah. We use that, all those places in there for the bins.
Okay.
Cause we get like, how many bins do we get in, Daisy, 12 plus two for 14
14 to
plus,
15, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot, yeah, it's a lot of
That's a
space.
lot of-
It's a lot of space.
Yeah, oh, yep.
I mean, we have to have all the room that we can get down there for that.
Speaking of that, do we have everybody lined up for?
That I do not know, I'm gonna come in and help Donnie, I think my
I
brother.
don't know if I can make it this year.
Bobby Sites is coming.
Is he, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask
He
Johnny
let
if
me
he
know at
told you.
church.
Okay,
He said-
good,
He
good.
said, let the guys
No,
know.
we should be good, if Eric helps too.
I think Eric's planning, as long as his wife.
We should be good then.
Okay, well, we'll table the brush chipping for this evening unless
So we need to see if there's any-
unless Sean's got something.
Well, I don't have any bright ideas, I'm sorry. It's-
The only thing I know, just end it.
Well, but then are we gonna create another problem? Are people gonna be dumping it up on Lamb's Gap, or are they?
I don't know.
Yeah. Cause yeah, people need to get rid of, when we have a storm. And now, I mean, you have a place to get rid of it there on your property, so do I, or you, but a lot of people don't. So
Yeah,
don't wanna
that's,
Forget those folks.
It's usually those in the development.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah, so then, I gotta throw it on somebody else's board.
Well,
Seen
yeah.
that, so. Okay, so we're tabling C. Well, make a motion to table it then. Second?
I'll second,
Unless somebody has
I'll
something.
second it.
Uh,
But we're gonna, I'll,
We do this all the time.
See if I can do a
We
little
don't have a
bit.
solution, that's
Let me
why
see if
it's
I
the only
can,
reason I'm
I'll
tabling
see if I can
it.
look around
Otherwise,
and find
we gotta do
anything
something with
to-
it,
We
right?
gotta do something.
No, but I'm saying we have to do something with the action tonight,
Okay.
so.
It'd be great if you could find another municipality or someone that could use it. You know.
And even so.
The hard part
we have
is-
to take it there, because we can't haul all that stuff all the time.
no.
That's gonna be a pain in the butt, because we're just going out 850, okay? Now we're gonna have to take it across the mountain,
Well,
Yeah.
somewhere,
in the
yeah.
traffic zones and all that, you know, it's a little
You
bit
have
more.
to target it.
Yeah, then you run into all kinds of problems. It's not fun.
Well, doesn't sound like any solutions are gonna be a walk in the
Nothing's
park,
gonna be a
so-
good one, I mean,
People that usually came to get it had like wooded lots and they would put it up near the mountain area.
Yeah, you don't want to close anything to the ants. It attracts them black ants. like
They might
crazy.
have trails or something that they could put up.
Okay, well, we gotta table it, so make a motion to table it for this evening, and we're not forgetting it, cause we gotta do something about it.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, that takes us to PCI health insurance renewal. Daisy, can you give us some
Well-
information on that, please?
The health insurance this year is going through the roof. And I mean, it's always going up. I don't think I've ever seen it go down. I've seen minimal increases, but all the, even Sonia, who is our representative from Pennsylvania Chamber, she said, it's just not good this year. She said, everybody's is going up. The same plan, and the thing is, it's not only going up, they're increasing all the deductibles, but yet still charging more money. Some things are staying the same in the plan, but to have a comparable plan with Highmark, it's 11.18% increase. And the deductible goes from $1,700 for single to $3,400 for family. And that's a health savings plan. But that's comparable to what we have right now.
What's the deductible right now for individuals and for?
Right now it's $1,600
And also
and
goes up-
$3,200.
So it goes up $100 and $200.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look on the first column is on all the pages is what we have now. So she puts that on all the pages so that you can look at the other ones and compare them.
Okay.
She does a really nice job for us.
So what's our drop dead on health insurance? But what's our date that we have to,
She needs us by the end of the month.
the end of this month?
Yeah. She needs to know so she can get it set up because you're always paying a month ahead. Like when I put Willie on already, when he,
After 90 days.
yeah, after his 90 days, because he was looking for his health insurance, so, anyway, it's always, like, we'll be paying for June and May. It's always ahead of time, so, and being that June is the new, that's when it ends, she would like to know by April 30th, May 1st at the latest, because she has to get, the paperwork together for them at Highmark. One thing is, she does have Willie included in this. He's younger, I mean, that's just the way it goes as you get older. They're thinking you're going to have more issues and the cost is more.
Well, it's not only our township, it's everybody.
Oh, it's everybody,
Oh, it's everyone.
Everybody's facing the same
It's
dilemma.
everybody.
It is really bad this year.
Yep.
But it still qualifies for a health savings account. That's the kind of plan we have right now.
So the plan's going up 11.8% then.
11.12%, if you round it up, 11.2%.
Well, we were just talking about car insurance, how much it's going up. It's terrible. Health insurance, homeowners insurance, everything's going up.
All those hurricanes, we gotta make money somewhere.
Well, all the places burnt in California, so they gotta make that
Oh,
up too.
that's true.
So there's two columns, one is mapped renewal,
Mhm.
and then alternate option 1, 2,
And the main thing, she did give a summary sheet on the front page. The main thing, and she went down through the different options and the differences in them, even though there's a difference even in the one, if you stay with what they're saying is the same plan, it's changing because of the deductibles. But, she went down through on that summary page for you and just mainly hit the highlights of the changes. With the increased deductible for option 1, for individuals is $27.50. Right now, we don't have any families, so we're all individuals, so. But that could change.
You never know.
No, you do, I do, but I
Well.
don't, but right, you don't know. I mean, that could change, like you said.
thoughts, motion.
Make a motion to go outside and scream? Is that allowable?
Don't hurt yourself.
Well,
Well, what are you gonna do? That's the thing. I mean, the guy's gotta have,
well, yeah, this is the
Good
definition,
coverage, I mean.
this is the definition of between a rock and a hard
Right,
place here.
right.
I mean,
like I said, everybody else's went up too, so
well, yeah,
everybody's getting it everywhere, so not just here.
I know, some of these
That is
deductibles, I
that's
don't know how families
ridiculous.
afford it. I really don't.
How these people sleep at night?
It's like $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
I know. And yet they're still paying these high deductibles. It's terrible. I thought it was bad last year.
Mhm.
But that didn't go up much. It was only a few percentage points.
Now they're making up for it this year.
I guess.
Yeah.
But she did say it's across the board. It's just bad.
It is.
I will be leaving, so, but then someone else will be coming on.
Right. The number's still gonna be the number, it's, that's.
Right,
not
but
gonna-
I'm higher,
Right, well, yeah.
so,
Well, the map renewal, that's with you?
that is with me, yeah, she had to,
Okay,
she
so that'll
can't
be-
take me off.
Yeah, so, okay.
Right.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there's other means by, we could choose a lower cost plan at some point and make adjustments to salary so that it works out to the
Yeah,
employee's benefit and the township taxpayers benefit also because we can get a lower, but I don't think that we've looked at that enough. I know I haven't at this point.
Well, kind of like what you did with the agreement before, when you provided some help for some
Yeah,
of the
'cause-
deductible,
yeah.
the high, because it's a health savings, it
Yeah,
has to be a
yeah.
high deductible in order to
deductible.
qualify for health savings, which is really, I mean, that is a big savings on your taxes. So, if they take advantage of it.
Excuse me. But we could change this, I mean, whatever we choose this evening, if we were to change it mid-year or something, we can do that, or you
I
locked in,
don't
how's
know.
that work?
If you can change it.
I think you're not.
I don't mean on the employees, I mean with the insurer, if we say, hey, you know, we met with our employees and there's a better deal.
I don't think you can do that, I don't believe it. Why would you think, like?
Do schools and other
It
townships
usually goes
normally?
year to year, I don't.
Yeah, they're usually year to year, it's usually an enrollment period, and then
Yeah.
you're sort of locked in, from what I understand,
I
but.
think they want to depend on that anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't ever remember doing that anyway.
Well, we wanna take care of our employees certainly, and if we wanna work with them to figure out something in the future that benefits them as much as it benefits the taxpayers, I think we should do that.
Definitely.
But in the meantime, we have to choose a plan for this evening.
Right.
So I'll make the motion to go with the MAP removal option.
I will second that, because I think that's the fairest. There is no such thing as totally fair, that's the
Yeah,
fairest for
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I'll make that motion, you're second.
I'll second
All in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Okay.
It's painful, but
Who's second, Sean?
no.
Brad?
I made the motion.
Brad.
Yeah, I second.
Yeah,
I
Sean
second.
seconded.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all right.
sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, I will get with Sonia so she can get working on the
Yeah,
paperwork.
please. And this copy that you put in my back, you don't need this one back, right?
What is that?
This was where you gave
Oh,
some
no, you
notation
did
to it.
not.
Okay, yeah, I need to keep it. And did we all get
Yeah.
that same information?
They have a packet. I didn't give them a note, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
got it.
we've all-
I think
We
it's
got
all
it,
the
we
same.
got it.
It's all
Okay.
the same.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
because I think we can do that. We can choose a plan that has some higher deductibles, but we can offset that in the form of additional pay. Not my
Actually,
area of
that's-
expertise, but it's an area that we need to look into, because
I mean, that's how I work.
for both, yeah.
Our deductible is $2,000, but the way our company has it set up, the employee is only responsible, for me, being single, I'm only responsible for the first $500. The company pays for the next 1,500 after
Yeah,
that,
so if we
until
do something-
until the insurance kicks in, to pay 100%. That's the way they do it, but I realize I'm very lucky where I work, so, I mean, not
Right.
a lot of places.
They're lucky to have.
Not a lot of places are willing to do that kind of thing, but yeah, so.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
takes care of that one. Announcement, spring cleanup, May 2nd, that's Friday from 6 AM to 1:45 PM, and Saturday, May 3rd, from 8 AM till 12 noon. May 17th is the fishing derby from 9 AM to 10:30 at the Sportsman's Association. Please come early to register. May 20th from 7 AM 7 AM to 8 PM is primary election day. May 22nd is the Supervisors Meeting, rescheduled due to the election day. And then May 26th, the office will be closed for Memorial Day. Trash collection will be on Wednesday, the 28th. Approval and payment of the bills, Daisy, please.
General fund checks 18278 to 18304, the amount of $29,242.61. No expense checks voided, payroll checks 8493 to 8499, in the amount of $5,191.56. Payroll checks 8500 to 8504, the amount of $8,010.86, and there were no payroll checks for it.
Thanks, Daisy. Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved to be paid. Thank you, Daisy. Takes us to citizen participation, the second portion. John, you're on the list.
Sure. Will the audit report and presentation be available on the website?
Yes, I'll get it out there.
Okay.
Do you have an approximate time frame on them?
The next day or two.
Okay.
Okay.
Trash contract extension question. Has the township thought about ending the ordinance and regulation on the trash, like just allowing people to decide on their own trash company? That can save money for individuals, especially the seniors that might only put out one bag a month. Coqualamus has their one bag system, different things like that.
Yeah.
And benefit.
I'll say, I've never pondered that. It's one of those issues that's been working fine, and I don't know, did we ever have that before? Because I imagine there's probably areas where it falls apart and it doesn't
I
quite
think
work.
right before I started
I don't-
working here, that's what they were doing, and they were having trouble with people dumping, people that said,
Yeah.
and they were burying their trash at that
Yeah.
time, because that was
Yeah.
30-something.
Well, for a long time, for a long time, that was what
Yeah.
people did.
They
Yeah.
buried it, and I know my dad did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
we-
tell you, John, we haven't looked
So-
at that option.
I mean, benefit for the township itself. We don't have, you won't have complaint calls anymore.
Oh, we'll have other,
No.
we'll have other complaints.
Well,
You know
that's
how-
what your ordinances are for too,
Right.
to
That's
enforce
what
those
Carroll
things.
Township does, and I
Yeah.
hear that they have issues.
That's,
Yeah.
Because some have
Yeah.
Sylvester, some have,
Coqualamus, I
Yeah,
think.
Coqualamus.
I know there's a couple, because there's a couple different trash bags you see.
yeah, and then you have to have somewhere to pick up the bags and,
Yeah.
someone to sell them.
I mean, I'm just thinking, you could go with somebody, us as individuals, on the street, go together and say, hey, we're going to Penn Waste or Advanced or whatever they are,
Yeah.
rather than, the township having to control it. I understand why we did it back in the day. Hey, we had our own trash service, that's great, but now we aren't in full control and now
Well,
we grew up with that. So.
How does that work? Because that's actually mandated by the state.
Our ordinance makes it mandatory.
Well, but the state says that you must have trash collection in your borough or municipality. That's where that came from, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, there's a solid waste advisory committee up at the county. In
Yeah.
fact, you're on that.
Yeah, actually I am, you are correct.
No, so, they haven't met yet, that was a long time ago.
It
They
was.
asked you for appointees.
Yeah.
You were appointed.
Yeah.
and Never got any.
I never got any calls or anything, but,
No, but, yeah, I know it's our ordinance mandates it. It's mandatory to have trash collection, so how would we monitor that everybody has trash collection?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is updating the ordinance that way.
yeah.
well,
Because the ordinance
Yeah.
is quite old. It still calls out stuff from when you started the trash service. So, anyway, something to think about. About brush chipping, I haven't seen brush chips in a long time. So when was the last time we chipped the brush? If it's been 5 years, kind of thing, you can't say, oh, people don't collect it.
no, I think it was, I mean, I'll defer to you, because you would know better than me, but I thought we had chipped some just recently, but we did chip it in the past, and it did sit back there for a while. I thought people would be coming to get it,
We
and,
got rid of that. That went out to the barn.
yeah, you know a home for it?
I'll keep that comment to myself.
Whoa,
I'll make it off the side.
okay.
About the new employee, well, not new employee, but Bill Starner. We got his updated pay. What kind of benefits does he have? Is that just based on the 2004 handbook still? Because that still has called out the pension in it.
Yes,
Does it still-
pension.
Does, okay.
So, but didn't we
It's
have a,
mandatory, he has to be on our pension plan after 90 days.
I didn't think we had pensions. I thought we went to that.
Well, it's still with PMRS, it's a different pension.
It's the
plan.
401k.
It's the
style,
it's the
Well,
it's the
not a pension.
modified.
It's not a
It's
pension.
it's a cash balance plan, it's more like a
where he puts in.
401k.
It's more like a 401k.
Right, where he puts in the money. The township really doesn't, other than
The
a
township
small
still
percent.
puts in 3%.
Right. Not
It's like-
like the
it's like
pension,
a-
which was 100% township pretty much.
No, they only ever put 3% in for anybody.
3% of your pay rate, right?
Right,
Right, not, but all that money that was going into it was township money at the pension.
yes. And then that was invested,
Yeah.
and it was in like a big pot,
So,
yes.
so our 401k style that we have now is just township funded? I mean, he can obviously add to it, but,
I actually did an MMO for that and they didn't accept it, so I'm gonna have to get that clarified because I don't know why I had an MMO for cash balance, because I knew that Willie would be coming on and possibly someone else, because all the new hires will be in that
That's
cash
it.
balance plan. So I did an MMO for that, estimating last year, not knowing exactly what point in time. And when I sent it in, it came back from PMRS with a 0. I had 1950, which wasn't much, but it's only the 3%, which is what the MMO will be, 3% of the salaries.
so not 3% matching or anything like that, we're still paying.
No, it's 3% of the salary, yes, and then, then that's what it is. And then they can put in up to 20%.
Mhm.
I've never had anybody put 20%, myself
Yeah.
included, so, anyway, that's what that is, and he is in that, and he is on our health insurance, that is required by Obama, the Affordable Care Act, he had to be put on that. So he's been on since his 90-day probation went up.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Dave.
He has, just to be fair and consistent, you want to be fair to everybody, and everybody across the board has the same, except for the pension, because that was adopted by the board.
Yeah,
And so there is no more defined benefits when
yeah,
I'm gone and Brad's now done, so.
yeah.
And Johnny's still on the defined benefit.
But he'll be the last
He'll be the
one, though.
last one,
Yeah.
yeah. And then all of the people on the defined benefit will be retired, vested and retired,
Right.
so. We're all vested at this point.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And the last question I have about is the medical insurance renewal. What level is the medical insurance, versus similar plans? I know last year we were at the highest tier of that grouping or whatever. Are we still at the highest tier?
You mean as far as the monthly cost, John?
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I think it was the monthly cost, or I just remember last year it was like a block of like 4 of them, and what was chosen was the highest one in that block or something.
Don't let this.
Yeah,
I think with the similar
yeah, I
plan.
found mine. Well, what we have here, it is, she just gave us all the options for Highmark, so this is the, health savings, I don't know, there's probably another Cadillac plan that we're not in, but we don't even look at those. So
Right,
it is the high, it
Yeah,
is,
the highest of the
one
similar
that she
plans.
had-
right, of the ones that she had put
That she had
together.
suggested.
That she thought
that's
were
the high- yes,
comparable.
yes.
She had a Geisinger one here that it's not.
Yeah,
Almost 52,000.
yeah, there's
higher.
some that are,
There's a few of them that are higher,
Yeah, there's a
John.
few here that are higher, but
It's,
we don't want those
but you didn't,
anyway.
well, that, yeah, that's,
I couldn't believe that, 3 people, 52,000.
52,000.
That's ridiculous.
So I guess my comment to go with that though is just, with the prices increasing, would we not look at, instead of raising their pay or whatever, would that be, however you were talking about earlier, would we not look at having them pay some of their insurance to offset the cost to the taxpayers? I think right now they're paying 0% towards it.
No, 3.
So, because the handbook, I think, said 0%, the contract
I
had
think
said
this is
2.
Daisy's
It's
plan. I think
still
it's
3%, we did not
Yeah.
take that away. We're still paying 3%,
Okay.
everybody.
Again, would that not be better to say make it 5%? I don't know. So something to think about is that, or making it that if there are any dependents, they would pay more or something. So just wanted to make sure that was thought about too. So thank you.
Yep. So, John, I just, morbid curiosity, I'm probably gonna regret this, but I have to ask, do you have some idea what to do with the chip brush? Because again, you heard the discussion that we had up here, and again, we're trying to, handle things properly and, but explore all options, and if you've got some idea what to do with it, we Love to hear
I
it.
might, I'd have to talk to some people to ask, but.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, because right now we,
I mean,
Kind of-
the worst part about that chip brush is, that'd be, you guys take it away, that's another service that's lost to the residents, so. Yeah, and I'd hate to see that too, because we've lost enough in the last 5-10 years, so, yeah. Between recycling and cleanup and.
well, John, if you've got a solution for recycling.
We
we'd
have to
love
get
hear it.
someone to bid on it.
Well, that could be part of the trash,
The world needs
dispersing the
that.
trash, going out to people. If they'd like recycling, they could get it themselves, kind of thing. So, just an idea to have.
The world needs
But
it.
our ordinance probably
Well-
doesn't even allow you to get your own if you want it, so, but anyway.
Okay, okay, well, thanks for your
Yeah,
comments.
no problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, do we hear any other comments? Hearing none, I make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brad, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Daisy, it is 8:40.
8:40, goodness gracious.